We will begin our presentation in a few moments, but first, let's establish a few ground rules. This briefing is designed for members approved for retirement, so we won't discuss too many of the rules involved in requesting retirement. If you haven't been approved for retirement, you are still welcome to view this broadcast. However, we also recommend you visit the AFPC website and review the webinar on Retirements 101. Today's discussion will focus on items affecting you after retirement approval. We will be providing a lot of information today, so we ask that you hold your questions until the end of the session, since we'll cover most during the briefing. To ensure everyone receives the most accurate and up-to-date information, please refrain from answering a question someone else asks. We have subject matter experts available to respond to the questions, and we will do our best to answer everything within our allotted time. We will post all the questions and answers on the AFPC website in a few days of this broadcast. Additionally, the slides will be available for download at the end of today's presentation and will also be posted to the AFPC website. You can communicate directly with us through the chat process at the end of the briefing. However, if something in today's presentation needs to be explained in greater detail, or you have suggestions for future topics, please let us know by emailing us directly. We will provide our organizational email address at the end of today's session.
Hello and welcome to today's webinar. Today we will cover what to do after an approved retirement. My name is Senior Airman Brooke Rice.
And I am Senior Airman De Venecia.
We will serve as your narrators today. Today's briefing is designed for lieutenant colonels and below who are approved or for non-disability retirements. If you have any questions, please make note of them and we will take time at the end of the session for you to ask them. Additionally, if you are pending retirement action under the Disability Evaluation System, please contact the Air Force Personnel Center Disability Division for information regarding your retirement process. Throughout this briefing, we will mention the Retirement Approval Authority. For Chief Master Sergeants and Chief Selects who require a waiver or who wish to change their retirement dates, the Approval Authority is the Chiefs Group. For all others, the Approval Authority is the Air Force Personnel Center Retirements Branch.
Today, we'll go over what you can expect after your retirement is approved. We will talk about items such as the retirement application approval message, retirement orders, travel orders for members retiring from overseas, the process for requesting retirement date changes or withdrawals, relocation processing requirements such as the initial retirement relocation briefing, along with assistance resources like the Transition Assistance Program. Then we'll discuss some general information on retirement pay, permissive TDY, and terminal leave, and end with DD Form 214 process. Now that you have a brief description of what we will be covering, let's get started.
When your retirement application was approved, you received a message like the example shown on this slide. It contains a link to a lengthy article in MyPERS, and it is vital that you read it all, as it contains instructions on what to do after approval. Some of the key items mentioned in this article are how to obtain your retirement orders, completion of the DD Form 214 worksheet, information about your retirement pay, and the initial retirement processing briefing. Additionally, it is vital that you maintain accurate contact information throughout the process. Please be sure to include an accurate forwarding address on the Form 214 worksheet in case we need to contact you following your retirement. Again, it is very important that you read the approval notification and MyPERS article thoroughly, as it will help prepare you for your retirement.
Typically, once your retirement is approved, you can expect to receive your retirement order from your local military personnel flight, or MPF, within 24 hours. Your retirement order should also be available in arms within 2 duty days of approval. If you do not receive your retirement order from the MPF at least 60 days prior to your projected departure date, you can obtain a copy of the order by reviewing your electronic record in product. Or your local MPF may contact the Total Service Center for assistance.
Here is an example of a retirement order. Your order is the authority for your retirement. Therefore, it is essential that it is correct and that you safeguard it upon receipt. The retirement order, in conjunction with your DD Form 214, Certificate of Release or Discharge from Active Duty, are required for certain entitlements such as compensation from the Department of Veterans Affairs and other things like property tax exemptions. Please review your order to ensure 100% accuracy. If you see anything wrong, please contact your MPF or the Total Force Service Center for assistance.
If you are retiring from the overseas area, you will also receive another order or an amendment to your original order, which authorizes travel for your command-sponsored family members. This order is required for you to obtain tickets or arrange household goods shipments from the overseas area. The Total Force Service Center prepares these orders approximately 180 days prior to your retirement and will send you a copy through virtual MPF. If you haven't received this travel authorization by then, please contact the TFSC for assistance.
With the creation of the virtual MPF, nearly all members retiring from overseas can now complete processing prior to departing the overseas area. However, there may be times when you're required to travel to an Air Force base in the United States to complete their final actions. Requests for this travel may be approved if you are stationed at a location where processing facilities don't exist, and it is not feasible for your commander to send you on a temporary duty to a nearby installation to complete processing. In very rare cases, if you are stationed at a location where facilities do exist, you may request travel to a separation processing base in the United States where you can provide documentation to show you are experiencing a unique personal hardship or that it would be in the best interest of the Air Force. You must submit a request for travel to a separation processing base at least 60 days prior to departure. Examples of this request and the required justification are outlined in the Personnel Services Delivery Guide on the Separation Processing Base program at the link shown on this slide. You can also contact the Total Force Service Center for assistance.
Some of you may experience issues after approval that may require changing your retirement date or canceling the application altogether. Many actions begin once your retirement is approved, including identification and movement of your replacement, because many of these actions are irrevocable. Changes or cancellations are done only under extreme circumstances. Requests for date changes or cancellations must be fully justified and may be approved when you are experiencing an extreme personal hardship that occurred or worsened after of the retirement. Requests may also be approved when documentation shows it will be in the best interest of the Air Force. Finally, requests may be approved if you are selected and notified of promotion after initial approval. Please note that date changes are not approved for common personal issues like alignment with civilian employment opportunities. Since these requests can take 4 to 6 weeks to process, it is important that you submit a date change or cancellation request through the virtual MPF as soon as you are aware of the circumstances.
For many of you, the next step is to begin your out-processing actions. There are several requirements you must complete prior to departing on permissive TDY or terminal leave. As we mentioned before, these requirements are outlined in the retirement approval article on the MyPERS website. If you have trouble accessing the information through the approval memorandum, you can also access it through the virtual MPF. In a moment, we'll show you how to access this briefing. You must also contact your military personnel flight to have them load your virtual out-processing checklist, as well as establish your final out-processing appointment. The MPF will assist you with any processing issues you may have. Other assistance programs exist, including the Transition Assistance Program, TAP, sponsored by your Airmen and Family Readiness Center. Other helpful sources, such as the Department of Veteran Affairs, are also available. If you haven't attended a TAP briefing, we recommend you sign up as soon as possible. We'll cover more on these resources in a few minutes.
As we mentioned, an important source of processing requirements is the initial retirement relocation briefing, located on the virtual MPF. This briefing contains many items that must be completed prior to your final out processing. You are required to complete the initial retirement briefing memorandum prior to departure. This memorandum is part of your virtual out processing checklist and is required for final out processing with your MPF.
You can access the initial retirement briefing through a link in the message you received when your retirement was approved. If you are unable to access the message, you may also log into the virtual MPF to access the briefing.
To access the briefing through the website, you'll need to access the Air Force portal. Log in with your username and password and click on the login button. Or, if applicable, you may log in using your controlled access card or CAC.
You can log in by using a username and password or with your CAC. Click on the login button to access the portal with your CAC, or click on the tab entitled Password to enter your username and password.
To log in with your user ID and password, click on the tab titled Password. Enter your username and password and click on the login button.
Then you will be at the Air Force portal homepage. On the right side of the page is a list of quick links, which includes one for the virtual MPF. Click on that link.
At this point, the system will bring up some of your information. Be sure to verify your duty email address and duty phone. These must be accurate since we'll be using this data to communicate with you. You may also add your home email address and home phone number to give us more ways to contact you. Once you verify the information, click on the link that reads, "I have verified my email and phone."
Now, you'll see the virtual MPF introduction page. This page page allows you to access several personnel applications, including record review and update, record of emergency data, awards and decorations, and it also has links to MyPay and the IDEA program data system. To access retirement information, click on the link entitled Self-Service Actions on the left side of the page under the navigation pane.
You will then see a list of self-service actions, which includes several areas of data like promotion actions, reenlistments information, and retraining. Look for the link titled Retirements and click on it.
Click on the Request Retirement link.
Then click on link titled Initial Retirement Briefing.
This slide shows an example of what Remember, the briefing is mandatory for all retirees and is lengthy. It is important to read the entire briefing as it contains important information for all your out-processing requirements and preparations for transition to civilian life.
In addition to the online briefing, there are several transition services available to individuals who are retiring. The redesigned Transition Assistance Program, initiated by the Veterans Opportunity to Work Act of 2011 and the Veterans Employment Initiative, requires that 4 mandates be completed by all military personnel prior to separation or retirement. The first step in the transition process should be the completion of DoD pre-separation counseling. Pre-separation counseling is congressionally mandated briefing that will provide you with information on the various benefits, rights, and services that can help you identify your needs and develop a personal plan for security assistance to meet those needs. If you are anticipating retirement, you can begin participating in the transition process as soon as 24 months preceding the anticipated retirement date. However, pre-separation counseling must commence no later than 90 days before your date of discharge or separation. The Transition GPS workshop should be the next step in the process. This is the only mandate that has allowable exceptions, which are service members retiring with 20 or more years of active federal service, service member with documented civilian employment, or acceptance to an accredited career tech training, undergraduate or graduate degree program, members with specialized skills, which require deployment within 60 days, and Air Force wounded warriors enrolled in an approved education and employment initiative. Part of the Transition GPS workshop is comprised of Department of Labor Employment Workshop, where Department of Labor focuses on job-seeking techniques such as interview skills and building an effective resume. The VA benefits briefing is mandated for all personnel. Most Transition GPS workshops include this curriculum. If you are exempt from attending workshop, you may attend standalone VA briefs if available. The VA benefit briefing discussed by a VA representative will explain the various benefits you may be eligible to receive. Benefits discussed include compensation, health and medical care, education and training opportunities, home loan guarantees, and life insurance options, and and benefits for certain qualified family members. Finally, capstone is a activity to ensure your are career ready. As with pre-separation counseling, this is mandatory for all personnel and should be accomplished no later than 90 days prior to separation or as soon as possible for those impacted by forced management. In conjunction with A and FRC transition counselor, each commander or approved designee is required to electronically sign your e-form to indicate whether you or are not career ready, i.e. have completed the 12-month post-separation budget, resume, etc., as determined by OSD. Individual training tracks are available to help you in your transition. They included 2 courses focusing on 3 self-selected career paths, accessing higher education for those pursuing college education, career technical training for those seeking job-ready skills in industry-recognized credentials in shorter-term training programs, entrepreneurship, boots to business for those wanting to start their own businesses. Although you cannot start the transition process until 24 months before an anticipated retirement, you can at any time attend portions of the Transition GPS workshop virtually. You can find all the curriculum through the Joint Knowledge online website. Each Airmen and Family Readiness Center also provides additional services and activities to include classes and workshops such as resume writing, interviewing skills, etc. Contact your local Airmen and Family Readiness Center for class workshop schedules.
The Pre-Discharge Program is a joint Department of Veteran Affairs and Department of Defense program that affords you the opportunity to file claims for disability compensation from the Department of Veteran Affairs up to 180 days prior to separation or retirement from military service. The 4 components of the Pre-Discharge Program are the Benefits Delivery at Discharge, or BDD, the Decision Ready Claim, DRC, the Disability Evaluation System, and Seriously Injured or Very Serious Injured Program. The BDD program was revamped as of October 2017, which now requires you to submit a claim no earlier than 180 days and no later than 190 days prior to discharge. You must be available for an examination 45 days from the date of the claim submission. The goal of the redesign to the program was to ensure you receive a VA examination while still in service and a rating decision prior to discharge, as well as being awarded VA benefits the day after military discharge. If you have less than 90 days remaining until your retirement, you may file a decision-ready claim. This program is a new option for service members who previously would have filed claims through the Quick Start program, along with the Fully Developed Claim program and traditional claims. You must work with an accredited VSO to file a pre-discharge DRC for VA compensation. The VSO will work with you to gather and submit copies of all service treatment records for all periods of military service at the time the intent to file was communicated, and the copy of DD Form 214, Certificate of Release or Discharge from Active Duty for all periods of military service at the time the formal claim is submitted. If you file a pre-discharge claim, you will receive an opportunity to have an in-service medical examination, which may increase the ability to establish service connection for claimed conditions. Once you have all evidence, including your exam results, you may file the DRC claim, as early as the day after you discharge from active duty. Each Airman Family Readiness Center has a local VA POC to provide assistance. If you have any questions regarding pre-discharge programs, you should contact your local Airmen and Family Readiness Center or VA POC. Veteran service organizations can help you with the presentation of VA claims. In essence, they work on your behalf for any matter concerning the VA.
Let's take a few minutes to go over some general retirement pay issues. Your final active pay will include payment for all unused leave, provided the number of unused days that doesn't exceed the 60-day cap. All earned final active duty pay will go toward any indebtedness the government prior to being paid to you. You should receive this final check within 15 days of your retirement date. However, many pay transactions occur when you retire, like calculation of terminal leave and permissive TDY, selling leave back, repayment of any pending debts to the government, and so on. Because of this, your final active duty paycheck may be delayed. So you should be prepared financially in case this happens.
Now, unlike active duty pay, you will only receive retirement pay once a month. You can expect your first retirement check the first day of the month after your retirement effective date. For example, if you retire on August 1st, you should receive your first retirement paycheck September 1st. Many things we mentioned about your final active duty check may also affect the calculations of your retired pay, like debts to the government, acceptance of the career status bonus, and so forth. These special circumstances may require the Defense Finance and Accounting Service to perform manual calculations of your retired pay to ensure accuracy. This doesn't happen very often, but this manual process could delay your retired pay 2 to 3 months. Therefore, we highly recommend you have a financial reserve to tide you over for 60 to 90 days in case there are any delays with DFAS starting your retired pay.
As I mentioned before, one thing that can impact your final active pay and your retired pay is election of career status bonus. If you elected this bonus at the 15-year mark, you agreed to be placed under the Redux retirement plan. This will affect not only your initial multiplier, but also further cost of living increases.
Under the High 3 pay plan, your multiplier is 2.5% for each year of service, or 50% for the first 20 years. Under Redux, your multiplier is only 2% per year for the first 20 years of service. So if you retire under Redux at 20 years of service, your multiplier will be 40%. However, under the Redux, you receive a 3.5 multiplier increase for each year you spend on active duty over 20 years, whereas the High 3 will still receive a 2.5 increase for each year after 20. Here is a side-by-side comparison of each plan and how their percentages are calculated after 20 years of service.
Another difference involved with the election of CSB deals with the cost of living adjustment. Under Redux, you will receive 1% less in COLA than someone who retires under the High 3 program. At age 62, your pay will be recomputed to the High 3 rate with a one-time adjustment of your COLA. However, after age 62, you will continue to receive the lower rate of COLA adjustments. If you are under the Redux retirement plan, DFAS must complete a manual calculation prior to issuing your first retired paycheck. Therefore, This could delay your initial retirement pay up to 90 days. Please remember this and factor this delay into your retirement planning.
You're probably wondering when your last duty day will be now that you are approved for retirement. This date will be determined by the amount of permissive TDY or terminal leave your commander authorizes you to take in conjunction with your retirement. Permissive TDY is non-chargeable leave. Your commander may authorize up to 20 days if retiring from a stateside base or up to 30 days if retiring from an overseas location. The purpose of permissive TDY is to help you in transition from active duty to civilian status and should be used for things like job and house hunting. Terminal leave is any leave that you have earned and will be taken in conjunction with your retirement date. This leave will be taken after you final out process from your unit. Both terminal leave and permissive TDY are subject to approval by your commander. Your commander may authorize all, some, or none of your requested leave and permissive TDY.
When calculating your departure date, one thing to consider is that you will still be earning leave while you're on leave. You will accrue 2.5 days of leave per month up to your retirement date. However, the same rules of leave accrual apply, such as the maximum amount carried over from one fiscal year to another. Currently, this maximum is 60 days. So, if you are planning on taking terminal leave through 30 September, such as from 1 September to 30 November, and you have more than the maximum allowable amount of leave to carry over, your leave balance will be automatically reduced to the maximum number of carryover days. Be sure to adjust your departure date accordingly to account for this. Or take normal leave before you out process to use any days over the maximum allowable carryover to avoid losing them. If you are on leave effective 30 September, your leave balance will automatically be reduced to the maximum carryover, currently 60 days, unless you are entitled to special leave accrual, SLA. You may not request to extend an approved retirement solely to take leave that you did not account for. On the next slide, you will see an example on how to calculate your retirement leave.
In our example, Master Sergeant John Doe is requesting a retirement date of January 1st. This is how he would figure out his leave dates. Master Sergeant Doe will have a leave balance of 47 days at the end of August. He will continue to earn leave all the way through December. By the end of December, he will have accrued a total of 57 days of leave that he may take as terminal. If the commander also approves the maximum amount of permissive TDY, in this case 20 days, that brings a total of 77 days. Then you simply start with the last day of chargeable leave, 31 December, and count the backwards 77 days. For Master Sergeant Doe, his last duty day would be 15 October, and he'll begin his permissive TDY and terminal leave on the 16th.
Now let's go over the 214 process. The DD Form 214, Certificate of Release or Discharge from Active Duty, is not intended to be a comprehensive resume. Rather, it is simply a document issued to you to verify your number of years served, characterization of service, separation code, and re-entry code. If applicable, professional military education, training related to primary duties, and decorations you received. For resume purposes, we highly recommend that you secure a copy of your Verification of Military Experience and Training, or VMET. At the link shown on the slide, the VMET is a great tool. written in civilian-friendly terms to use when writing a resume. You can also provide prospective employers with photocopies of your training certificates if needed. When the DD-214 initially populates in VMPF, it only shows your professional military education. The DD-214 technicians populate the form with the remaining training that is updated in Military Personnel Data System, known as MILPIDS. We often receive requests to include unauthorized information on the DD Form 214, AFI 36-3202, Separation Documents outlines specifics on preparing this form. The only types of training included on the DD Form 214 are professional military education and formal in-service training. These formal training courses directly correspond to Education and Training Course Announcements Catalog. Each of these courses includes a code which is updated in MILPDS. Since MILPDS is used to populate the training area of the DD Form 214, it is imperative that you ensure your eligible training is up to date prior to your retirement date. Further, you should be aware that we are required to omit ancillary and combat training courses on the 214. With the 214 being a DoD document, we must remain in compliance with governing directives and policies. Please understand that we cannot accept training certificates submitted by you via email for inclusion on the DD Form 214. Since there is no way for us to verify the certificate's authenticity, therefore, it is key for you to ensure all your training is updated in MILPDS. Please contact your military personnel site or the Total Service Center for assistance in updating your training information. Please note that the virtual MPF DD-214 application will not allow you to start a DD-214 worksheet until you are within 6 months of your retirement date.
When the DD-214 is finalized, a DD-214 tech will send you an email via MyPers informing you that the DD-214 has been completed. The final DD-214 will be available on the first business day following the retirement date. Since the DD Form 214 is processed electronically, it is extremely important that you have a personal email in the system. You should update a personal email address in the virtual MPF to make sure it is available. DD Form 214s are not mailed, and you must electronically retrieve it from the virtual MPF within 60 days of your retirement. Instructions are provided by the Total Force Service Center DD Form 214 tech on several occasions starting approximately 30 days prior to retirement. Safeguard the original since the DD Form 214 is processed electronically and comes out as a PDF file. You should save a copy of the file on your personal computer. If you need to request a copy of the DD Form 214 or any other documents in your product record, you can log on to the VA eBenefits website and request it. Note that PRADA does not contain members' copies 1 through 4 of the DD Form 214, only the service copy. Your copies of the DD Form 214 must be retrieved from the virtual MPF within 60 days of retirement. Periodically, the Total Force Service Center receives calls from veterans requesting a certified true copy of their 214. Please be advised that contrary to popular belief, there is no such thing as a certified true copy of the 214. The signed copies you print on your local printer in that 60-day window are valid and should be accepted by all interested agencies. In the event a particular agency requires additional certification, We encourage you to take the original DD Form 214 to a notary and have them make a copy of it and notarize it. It is extremely important that you do not relinquish the original DD Form 214 to anyone, as it is the only original in existence.
AFPC currently has 7 technicians dedicated to assisting you with the completion of your DD Form 214. You will be sent an email via virtual MPF approximately 30 days prior to your retirement date. This initial email is a reminder to initiate the DD 214 if you haven't already done so. It is important that your contact information like your email address, phone number, and mailing address are current in the virtual MPF. If you have questions on your DD 214, you should contact the Total Force Service Center at 1-800-565-0102 or DSN 665-0102. If the customer service representative cannot answer your question, you will be transferred to the DD 214 technician working your case. Following the initial email reminder, the technician will prepare your DD 214. Once completed, the technician will push the DD 214 to you for review. Once the technician sends a DD 214, you can access the form via the virtual MPF. If you are on terminal leave, contact A1 Service Desk at 210-565-5004, extension 1, to obtain temporary user ID and password to access DD 214 via your home computer. The user ID and password are good until 60 days after the effective retirement date. You will be able to review the form and either approve it or submit requested changes. When you submit changes, the technician is notified via email of the requested changes. The technician will review the request and either make the changes or respond to you with the reason the change can't be made. Once you approve the DD 214, the technicians are ready to finalize it. However, since the worksheet is not a legal document, they are not allowed to start digitally signing the actual DD 214 until a week before the retirement date. Once signed, your technician will notify you that the form is final. Please note that although the DD 214 has been finalized, it will not be available to you on virtual MPF until your retirement date.
Today, we touched on several items of interest following approval of your retirement. This briefing is not designed to replace your local relocation processing briefings or transition assistant programs. However, we did want to point out several items that might interest you. It is important that you reviewed all information relating to your out processing and complete all required actions to avoid any delays in your departure. Additionally, there are many resources available to you during your final out processing. Please contact your military personnel flight or the Airmen and Family Readiness Center for more information. You may also contact the Total Force Service Center for assistance.
Here is a complete listing of our contact information. We can be reached at any of the numbers you see here or through our organizational emails. At this time, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns that pertain to the information presented today, please feel free to type them in and we will begin to answer them as quickly as possible. Remember, the slides are now available for download and it will also be posted to the AFPC website.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We're going to do our best to answer your questions live. Thank you to those that have already started to type your questions in. We also will take questions from Facebook Live. So Miss Lacey will jump back and forth and answer questions on the webcast, and then we'll jump to Facebook Live. So thank you so much. We'll go ahead and begin the question and answer portion. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take a first question from John Berber from Facebook. My VMET hasn't updated since January of 2018. How do I get it to update? Unfortunately, we don't have a representative from DMDC on the phone to answer that question. But if you email us at the email address that's on the screen, we'll research that and get back to you. And we'll also provide the instructions and the results of the question on, excuse me, on MyPERS within the next few days. A question from the DCS from Eloy Rodriguez. I want to request my DD 214, but I'm waiting for my retirement declaration to process. Should I request it now and make updates to it later, or is it better to wait until after my declaration processes? Well, it's entirely up to you as to when you start. You can't request your DD 214 worksheet until 6 months prior to your retirement date. However, the sooner you start working on it, the sooner you can make sure that it's accurate. The technicians will work with you, and if you have questions, you can always call them through the Total Force Service Center, and they can talk to you prior to finalizing that product. But you will be able to make changes to that to add any retirement declarations that you receive prior to your retirement. A question from Facebook Live from Michael Fisher. Will the last paycheck be for 2 weeks, or will DFAS withhold the entire month unto debts, leave, and such are worked out? Well, your final paycheck should